Yes, Dave, one of my guests needs no introduction, I think, NBC's own Pauline Frederick.
Thank you, Frank.
The only woman network news commentator in the country, and her guest and mine, I'm glad to say, is Marjorie King of station KNBC San Francisco. Both Pauline and Marjorie have been honored by McCall's Magazine's annual Mike Awards, presented to the outstanding women in radio and television, and to both of these ladies. Today's heartiest congratulations to you.
Thank you, Frank.
Now, Pauline, you were honored for your ingenious and energetic news coverage and your courage to say what you believe.
Well, it's a very nice recognition, Frank, in this particular field where there aren't too many women doing news.
That's true. And I know that one thing that often tests this frankness of yours is the difficulty women reporters experience in news coverage. Do you really find difficulty?
I don't find any particular difficulty, but not many other women have the opportunity.
And also because you're so capable, huh?
Thank you.
We think so anyway. And congratulations on your assignment at the conventions. You're to be anchorman on NBC's radio network, and I think it's a great idea having a woman anchorman for a change.
I'm very excited about it. I hope I have the endurance to go through it.
I'm sure you will. Marjorie, I'd like to talk to you for a minute. Tell us a little about this business of yours, finding positions for women over 40.
Well, this first job-finding office for women over 40, created in San Francisco, we discover is going to fill a great need. And in fact, we're getting requests from all over the country, Frank, to go with thou and do likewise, and have a wonderful idea. You see this folder here?
Yes.
It's called Careers Unlimited for Women. We sent it to all the governors of the 47 states. And on the way back to San Francisco, I think it would be nice if we made arrangements with United Airlines and just dropped them in all the states. Then they'd know how to make a job-finding office also for women over 40.
Jane Pauley, who is not always as calculating, is with two guests this morning who have instructions not to fold, bend, or mutilate. We're going to be talking about home computer use.
Be very gentle with her. I am holding in my finger a tiny little chip that has changed your life, and it's going to change a lot more in the coming months and years. Where are we? There we are. It's a silicon chip, and that's the core of the computer, the brain. It stores all the information and processes the information, and we're going to see now how the computer revolution is coming into your home with the help of Roger Schiffman, who markets something called the video brain. It's a computer for the home. And some experts predict that many middle-class type homes will be having a computer like this in the houses by 1985. And Dr. Lewis Robinson, who is Director of Scientific Computing for IBM. And in a few moments, he'll be telling us what kinds of new uses the computers are having, uses that you will never see in your home, but they are making a difference in your life. First of all, Mr. Schiffman, the video brain does a number of things around the house. Could you rattle off a list of some of the things it could do?
Certainly. Some of the things that we can do with the video brain would include such things as computing financial information, whether it's checkbook balancing or financial mortgage calculations to determine payments. It will educate, could teach music, as we'll see today in the demonstration. It will also teach languages, language arts, and at the same time you have the ability to be entertained by the product.
Like checkers with me?
Checkers, absolutely.
And pinball,
gladiator games, and a number of other educational areas as well.
Well, as Tom says, it can't print money, but if it can help balance a checkbook, that's a big step. We're going to see a demonstration, though, this morning of how a computer can help teach you how to read music. I'll kind of leave that to you.
Fine, thank you. We've entered a cartridge into the computer now. The video brain cartridge is the Music Teacher 1. With this cartridge, there are two different areas that you can deal with. We'll look at Learn a Song. Now, with Learn a Song, you're looking at music staff, and there's a time bar involved, and right now we're going to have the computer play a song for us. The people who are using this cartridge have the opportunity to see the note on the staff, to hear the note, and they're dealing with a keyboard which has all of the same fingering positions as a standard piano or organ keyboard.
It looks like a typewriter to me.
That's correct.
But you say it's laid out like the notes on a piano would be.
That's right. When using this cartridge, there's a conversion chart, which we're dealing with here, which gives you the same fingering positions. Now, to learn to play this song, we're looking at a note, and what we want to do is try to play back what we just heard. If we hit the right note, you'll hear it. If a mistake is made, nothing's going to be
No happy
played by,
birthday.
that's correct.
It was 10 years ago today that a man first stepped on the moon. And special ceremonies are being held at the National Air and Space Museum and at the White House to mark that anniversary. Now, a look back at that historic flight. Crew members were Command Pilot Michael Collins, Lunar Module Pilot Edwin E. Buzz Aldrin, Jr., and Commander Neil A. Armstrong. Armstrong was a civilian and former test pilot. Collins and Aldrin were Air Force officers. On the morning of July 16, 1969, a Wednesday, they entered the command module just before 7 a.m., then spent 2 hours waiting while the countdown continued, with only 2 minor problems that were quickly corrected. Then, at 9:32 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, liftoff.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engines running. Commit.
This is Houston. You are go for staging.
11 Houston, a real good picture we're getting here. Well, you guys sure been doing a good job of watching this, Charlie. We appreciate it.
On the 5th day of the mission, the landing.
Okay, engine stop. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Roger, Tranquility. We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.
600 million around the world watched as Neil Armstrong stepped to the lunar surface.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Man had landed on the moon. Armstrong, followed by Aldrin, spent just over 2 hours on the lunar surface. They planted a flag, collected some rock samples, talked to President Nixon in the White House, then returned to their ship and ultimately to Earth. Edwin Aldrin went back to the Air Force, then into private business. He told NBC correspondent Roy Neal recently he's not sure exactly what was accomplished with the moon landing 10 years ago.
We've got challenges in the future. Man, we're in line for gasoline. We're worried about nuclear waste, energy, environment pollution. They're tough to grapple with. They're not quite as simple as saying we'll put a man on the moon and bring it back to regain national prestige. I really hesitate to use the word, but all of us, the government, the people, the media, we got caught up in a lie as to why we're going to the moon. In my way of thinking, we went there to get men there and bring them back. And to the extent that people were thinking we went there for science or all these other additional benefits, that waters down the whole effort.
Let's get started with the morning's top story over at the news desk. Good morning, John Palmer.
Good morning, Jane. Stephen, in the news this morning, first Alaska, where the governor of that state has now declared a disaster emergency and has called on President Bush to commit more federal resources to fighting the largest oil spill in U.S. history. Meanwhile, members of the National Transportation Safety Board are on the scene this morning trying to find out what happened aboard the tanker that caused it to run aground, triggering a leak and an oil slick that now covers more than 100 square miles of one of the most pristine marine environments in the world. David Burrington reports now from Valdez, Alaska.
The key question now in the investigation is why the third mate of the Exxon Valdez was piloting the tanker when it left the normal traffic lane to avoid ice flows. He did not have a proper license for that, Exxon officials say. Under his supervision, the tanker veered a mile from the normal lane to run aground on a well-known, well-charted reef. The captain should have been on the bridge, officials said. Instead, he was in his cabin. At one time, he had a drinking problem.
I believe there was previous history going back 5 years or more.
Fishermen fear the area's $100 million a year fishing industry will be permanently damaged. The fishermen are demanding that Exxon compensate them now for this year's losses. Efforts to clean up this worst oil spill in U.S. history have so far been unsuccessful. But napalm strikes, officials say, are proving effective. They burn off 99% of the oil. With state and federal approval, napalm may become a major weapon against the spill, according to officials. David Burrington, NBC News, Valdez.
On Close Up this morning, the Clarence Thomas nomination. As we've reported, the Senate is to vote tonight on whether Thomas should get a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. But a charge that Thomas sexually harassed one of his employees a decade ago has fueled new last-minute debate over the nomination. Anita Hill, now a professor of law at Oklahoma University, is the woman who says Thomas harassed her. She's with us now from Oklahoma City. Professor Hill, good morning.
Good morning.
Some people are wondering, if you had these negative experiences, why you followed Clarence Thomas from the Department of Education to the EEOC.
Well, I have responded to that question, but I'm really happy to respond again. It was during a period where the activity had ceased. There had been some activity. It had ceased for some weeks and maybe perhaps even months. And I assumed that the activity had ended permanently and that we were going to be able to continue with a professional relationship. I liked the substance of the work that I was doing. I wanted to do civil rights work at that time, and I enjoyed that substance of the work. And I saw this as one of my only real opportunities to engage in civil rights work. And so one might look back and say it was poor judgment on my part. But at the time, it was the judgment that I used. In addition, I had only worked with Clarence Thomas for approximately 9 months at that time. I had quit another job to go to work with him. And I did not believe that I could explain to an employer why I had left a job so quickly, or 2 jobs really, in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I also was not sure exactly how he would receive my leaving and whether or not he would support me in finding a new position. There are a lot of reasons that went into the decision. I didn't have the option of staying at education.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have meant that I would have had no job.
It's been a difficult 2 days for you. Do you have any regrets?
Well, you know, one always second guesses oneself in these kinds of situations. I think what I regret is that so much attention has been focused on matters that are not important. There are a lot of people who can say that I was naive or that I used poor judgment in these situations. But there is nothing in the record that would indicate that I am dishonest. And to the extent that I use poor judgment in other person's opinion, I regret that. But I did the best I could with the information that I had throughout not only the period that I'm discussing, but also throughout the process with the Senate Judiciary Committee.
As you'll see, Katie is on the cover of Time magazine this week, Katie's Crusade, and with more on that, let's go inside the Katie.
Thanks very much. This morning we begin a week-long series called Confronting Colon Cancer. It's a disease that nobody wants to talk about, but in fact, colon cancer is the second leading cancer killer in this country, following lung cancer, claiming some 56,000 lives every year. That's the bad news. The good news is that colon cancer has a better than 90% cure rate if it's caught early. So we begin this morning with the story of a man who's living proof that early detection can save your life.
I'm a 58-year-old father of 4. I have 3 and a third grandchildren. We've been married, it's going to be 35 years. I've got a job as a physical education teacher, and I did it for 34 years. I never get sick. I had the flu 7 or 8 years ago. Nothing ever happens to me. I'm the healthiest person I know.
Meet Mickey Lettieri. I did recently because I was so moved by a letter he wrote following the series we did on colon cancer in 1998.
You're not really the letter-writing type, is that right?
Oh,
have you ever written a letter?
You're my first, kiddo.
Really?
You are my first. Dear Katie, a short note to say thanks. It was because of your efforts that my wife pushed me into getting the long overdue colonoscopy that probably saved my life. The results of the pathology came back positive, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. I had absolutely no signs or symptoms of any kind. The cancerous polyp was removed during the procedure, and I never even felt a thing. I have become one of your army of staunch supporters. The procedure was not all that bad. We wake up with you every day, and because of you, we will continue to wake up every day. Please continue to spread the word, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi, Dr. Ford.
Correct.
I know,
How
I'm
are
very
you?
chipper
You're still
considering what you're about to do to me.
after. So this is the medication we're giving you here.
What is that?
This is Demerol. So you're going to get a little groggy from this maybe, but it's a nice, relaxing feeling. Okay.
I'm a little nervous.
Sure, that's...
Is that normal?
Normal. How do you feel?
I feel very lethargic. I feel the way I feel right before I go to sleep.
Right. Okay. Good. We know that the medicine is taking effect because you're having a little trouble getting out some of your words, so we know that you're all sedated. Yeah.
I have a pretty little colon.
Actually, this is good for, thinking of production, because here she is not overly sedated, you see, and is able to appreciate what is going on.
But you didn't put the scope in yet, did you?
Yeah, we're doing the examination.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're doing it.
Okay, good. That's a good sign.
We're doing it. We're almost done. You're going to feel a cramp there now. I'm going to clear this fluid up so you see where, if you can see where the appendix takes off. In other words, we're 6 feet up. We're 6 feet up here. So
that's reassuring, Dr. Ford. Thank you for sharing that point with me. But our colons are always, aren't they generally 6 feet long? Colons?
Yeah. Even in small people.
You're at the end. We've reached the end of the colon.
End of the line. So we're going to come out now.
That's it?
We're up to the top. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll stay up there a little longer. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Now we're coming back, and actually this is when we do a definitive look.
So you do more on the return trip?
Yes, yes.
So far I'm looking pretty clean,
you're
huh?
very clean. So we're coming down nicely, and it's as clean as a whistle. This is a perfectly normal examination up to this point. We're practically in the rectum now. Okay, Katie, that's it.
That wasn't bad at all.
No, no. And I
purposefully
kept you, sedated enough so you weren't terrified, but you didn't need any more so you could interact, and because you can understand how some people don't even take medication for it.
You know, the only discomfort was really sort of when you blew air in me, I guess.
You felt a little crampy.
A little crampy, yeah.
Right.
But other than that,
no.
I didn't feel a thing.
Okay, good.
You're brilliant,
You're
Dr.
super
Ford.
patient.
Thank you very
what
much.
a team.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Good. And it was.
The 60s brought Hugh Hefner and the infamous sex symbol, the Playboy Bunny.
Who are the bunnies and how are they trained? Well, to get the answers, we sent Today reporter Barbara Walters to the bunny school. Barbara, I noticed some funny things growing out of your head. Right up here that you...
These are my diplomas. This is my diploma. It proves that I did indeed go to bunny school.
Are most of the girls embarrassed when they first put these costumes on?
Not hardly. I'd say about 1 out of 143 might be embarrassed.
Finally, the big test. When my turn came, I felt pretty awkward, but at least I didn't spill anything on the customers. I had passed. And that's it. That's bunny school.
You should be pleased. You make a very cute bunny.
You made an incredible bunny.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that since the day that it was on.
Barbara, will you please tell me that you worked out for 2 months before you did that spot?
It was a different time and place, my dear. But you know what? Nobody knew who I was, so I could get that job and come in and do it. And then they just thought that NBC was covering it, that I was, sort of just another girl. What I remember most was that you had to learn how the bunny served. You know what that was? You didn't bend over for reasons that may be obvious. What you did was you bent your legs and you served leaning back. You see, you knelt down that way. It's come in very handy ever since.
Well, there you have it. I could not be a bunny because I have bad knees.
Though
Though I could probably bend forward. Oh, never mind.